Hello everybody, I thought that it would be a good idea to go over homework number 94. So here it is. The first thing I asked you to graph was cosecant x, which is the reciprocal of sine, which starts at the origin. So hopefully your graph starts at the origin. I went up 2 marks for one. One can be up 1 mark, 2 marks, however many you want. You can decide the scale. But I just went up 2 marks for one. I skipped when I was doing my graph, but you could do 1, 2, 3, 4, could be 2 pi. I just skipped 2. Skipped every other one. I don't know why. I just did. But the period is 2 pi, and we're doing 2 periods, so we're doing 4 pi. Hopefully this looks like a sine curve to you. So we did a normal sine curve, and then what's special about it is we're going to do some u's on top and below the sine curve. So the first thing you do is you draw the asymptotes. You draw an asymptote at where there's a 0, which is at x equals 0, and you label some of them. The next one's right here at pi, x equals pi. The next one's at x equals 2 pi, and then 3 pi, and then 4 pi. And then where we have the highest point on the graph, we're going to draw u. And this point, if you do the math, divide pi over 2 by 4, because there's 4 parts to the graph. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you divide by 4, you get pi over 2, comma 1. So pi over 2, and the height is 1. So pi over 2, comma 1. And then here, this is the third one. So 1 pi over 2, 2 pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, negative 1. And you don't have to write what the other ones are. And when we're trying to find the domain, that's the hardest part. But with cosecant, it's not too bad because it starts with 0 and then pi and 2 pi. It's all the pi's. So the domain is x such that x is not equal to pi k, where k is an element of z, the integers. So all the pi's. And then the range is y such that y is less than or equal to negative 1, because it's all the ones below negative 1, or y is greater than or equal to 1. That only changes if the amplitude changes. The second one that we're going to graph is secant x, which is 1 over cosine. So I did the same scale the other one, and hopefully you can tell that this is a cosine graph because it starts up at 1, at 0, 1, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. Nice and curved, nice and smooth. We find where the zeros are. That's where we draw our asymptotes. And the way you figure out where they are is this is 1/4 of 2 pi, so it's at pi over 2, and then the next one's at 3 pi over 2, and the distance between them is pi, half the period. That's the distance between them, pi. And you draw your u's. This one's 0, 1. This one's pi, because it's halfway to 2 pi. Pi, negative 1. 2 pi, 1. You don't need to do 5 points. Like 2 or 3 is fine. And when we're doing the range, it's the same as the last one, because it's greater than or equal to 1. Y is greater than or equal to 1, or y is less than or equal to negative 1. But then the next one, the domain, you find the first asymptote, okay? First asymptote, which is pi over 2, and then the distance between the asymptotes, which is pi, which is half the period. So you do the first asymptote, x such that x is not equal to pi over 2, plus pi k, where k is an element of integers, is the distance between asymptotes. So secant's harder than cosecant. And then the range is still there. And then I asked you to do 2 secant x, to put a 2 in front. And all that changes is the amplitude. So this is 1, and so then this is 2. And it starts up higher. So it starts up higher at 2 and then goes to 0, -2, 0, 2, etc. So it just makes the graph stretch. It's like a vertical stretch. The points are 0, 2, pi over 2, -1, and 2 pi 2. These, make sure you do all the u's, even the partial u right here. And then I did the range wrong. It's greater than or equal to greater than or equal to 2 and less than or equal to -2. I forgot that we changed it. So we have to change the range. The domain stays the same. It's pi over 2, the first asymptote, and then pi, the distance between the asymptotes, pi k, where k is an element of z, the integers. And this one just changes it to 1/2. So I put 1 where I normally put it, and then I put 1/2 is half of it. So it's like shrunk down. It's a shrink. It's a compression. And it's a sine curve. The asymptotes are at 0, pi, 2 pi, etc. I changed the range. Pi over 2, 1/2 is one of the points. 3 pi over 2, -1/2 is another point. That's enough points. So hopefully this helps going over the homework. I'll take a picture of it and put it online. I thought I already did, but I'm not sure if I did. So I'll do that now.